Hello everyone and welcome to all joining us for this great session. The discussion that we are going to have today is beyond keeping pace, how to thrive in the new era of digital workplace. I know there are too many words to digest, but I am very happy to do this session. I am Yugal Joshi, partner with Everest Group, and I am joined by two of my esteemed colleagues who drive our workplace practice. But before I go to them, let me just start this asking you a question. In the world of today, we are talking so much about AI and agents, of course. So, if all of you could deploy just one AI agent, and you can choose for one task, you can choose it a complex agent, but if you have to just deploy one AI agent, what would you use it for? Please keep answering this question while we chat. Prabhneet, she leads our digital workplace practice, and she advises both the enterprises and the providers on their workplace strategy. Supported by Sarmista, senior analyst with the practice, and she helps both enterprise providers as well as technology firms in their workplace strategy. Now, I'll just bring them in. Prabneet, if you
Yep.
can discuss what I asked our audience.
Yep. Thanks, Yugal, for introducing me, and very happy to be here for the session today. So, I guess, Yugal, if I could deploy maybe one AI agent for my workplace tomorrow, I would start with the invisible work because that is where the productivity leak quietly happens every day behind the scenes. So, if I could have one AI agent who could manage status updates, handoffs, coordination with the team, and sharing documents, and give me probably a short summary at the end of the day about those work streams, I guess that would be very helpful and would save me a lot of time.
Interesting. Sarmishta, how about you?
So for me, to your question, right, if I had a chance to deploy one agent tomorrow, I would pick something which would help me for meetings. So I would ask it to build like a pre-read on any enterprise provider or partners with whom we'll have a meeting with. And it's always handy to know, right, if they have done any recent investments, if they have launched something recently, or if they have acquired something, right? And I do not mean like a 20 slide summary deck, but one page of information, something to help with the question, what would they be interested in? Because honestly, there were times that this would have been very helpful to us. So yeah, I would expect the agent to do this for me. So I think we are also uh, like we are also seeing that regularly that we need such things. So yeah, over to you, Yugal.
Interesting, interesting, very interesting. So, if I heard both of you, in a sense, what you are saying is sort of reducing the monotonous task that you have to do in your job. We will come to our audience responses as we go forward, but I just want to give our audience some kind of background. Why did we decide to do this session? See, one is, of course, workplace continues to transform, but what we are seeing is in 25, and by the way, we aren't going to make this only about AI. I know AI is very hot, but we are going to talk a lot about what is actually happening on workplace at the ground. But what we saw in 25, we see something is changing in as we head in 2026. Of course, there were a lot of experimentation, just not on AI, Gen AI, but also on the IT OT convergence and multiple initiatives around productivity. And this was focused across knowledge workers, frontline workers, and so on. So this year, I may not put it as make or break, but this is going to be very interesting that what enterprises do. And let me share some data from our research that we are currently doing. We were very happy to see that almost half in enterprise, of all the 300 that we spoke and polled, they said that employee experience has become extremely critical for them. Now, if you link it to the productivity argument that is often given in AI, which is right, but some of you who have tracked this industry for a very long period of time, if you go back to the times when PCs were introduced, the productivity gains were less than 3%, and they actually continue to taper. Now, of course, AI is going to be a lot more impactful than that. But I was very happy to see that many enterprises are thinking not just from a productivity vantage point, but also from for increasing the employee experience, which was very good for us to see. Second was almost 85% of them say that they will continue to transform experience of their knowledge workers. They will of course want to do them more. A couple of things I was taken aback, and I thought some enterprises aren't seeing this in the right direction. One is we were hoping a lot more than 25% who said that they are going to proactively invest in frontline workers. I was frankly expecting a lot more of that, because we believe there's a significant value that enterprises can derive if they invest in their frontline workers using all the AI tools. Lastly, as lot of the AI and Gen AI and different forms of AI have been introduced within enterprises, the outcomes have been uneven. And I think you can see there is one or the another research every day that everybody is claiming, okay, we are not seeing the outcome or the impact that we wanted. And we are going to uncover some of this. What is going to happen, sort of put some of our crystal ball, and then try to look into it 4 or 5 years down the road. Let me now bring my esteemed panelist into this around what do we mean when it comes to this new era of digital workplace. It's very easy to throw these terms that everything is new, everything is pivoting, everything is changing, but we are experiencing something very fundamental. So to begin with, Prabhneet, let's make all of this thing practical, and you advise both the buy and the supply side on this. If you have to talk about what is actually going to change in 2026.
Yeah. Thanks, Yugal, for asking those questions. So, firstly, thanks, Preet, for that very interesting response. And just to our audience, you can keep putting in your responses to what AI agent would you want to deploy in your workplace. We'll be very happy to see your responses. And also, as a note of thanks to all of the attendees, we'll be happy to share a complimentary abstract. You can scan the QR code on the screen right now, and it will give you an option of community extract, which are snapshots of our research from last year, as well as an option to schedule a meeting with our esteemed analyst. So, yeah, going back to your question, Yugal. So, I think a lot has been changing in the digital workplace services. A lot of interesting things are happening. And I will not talk about AI right now, and to talk about some of the broader changes. So, firstly, I think there's a lot of interesting things happening on the tech partner side. Enterprises, they are moving away from monolithic suites, and they are open to collaborating for modular suites and composable options as long as they meet their actual ground needs and they fit the purpose. And they're even willing to move away from the tech giants and go with distinguished and niche technology partners. One is that, and interestingly, in Europe, we see a trend even around tech sovereignty, where enterprises they want to go not just away from the usual tech giants, but tech partners which are regionally hosted, which are from their own region, and they're open to collaborate with them even if they have to build the features from scratch, but they want to go with sovereign tech vendors, which is why we believe that service providers cannot limit their partnership ecosystem to the usual logos. They need to expand the ecosystem and give that tech vendor agnostic option to their enterprise partners so that they can meet their needs. And on the service provider side, you will be seeing that the landscape in itself is really changing. One is that we are recently seeing a lot of OEMs eyeing this very interesting digital workplace market opportunity, and we are seeing very aggressive investments from that, such as from the likes of Lenovo and HP. And then there's some of the smaller service providers who were earlier limiting themselves probably just to one buyer segment, such as mid market or to a specific region. They are now being bold enough to expand and take bigger bets, because we know that the labor arbitrage differentiation that a lot of GSIs and IH Indian heritage providers had, that might not be the only differentiator that enterprises are looking for. They are going with the platform first approach, and they have started to win a lot of deals through that as well. Back to you.
Mm-hmm. No, no. So, and if you ask me about, I know we were discussing earlier that what do I think going into 26, some of these enterprise are underestimating, and my answer may
Yep.
may surprise others. I think enterprises, in my view, are underestimating how well they are prepared. I see so much of doubt. I see so much of I won't say pushback, but doubt whether our AI adoption is going to scale, whether we are going to get the impact. I think that self doubt is hurting enterprise journey in digital workplace. And the clients that we work with, we of course do a lot of hand holding of them. We also build a lot of assessment toolkits for them. Okay, where you are, where you can go, but then take that step by step. But I am pretty sure that now, and that's where 26 becomes an interesting year, whoever takes their bet right, they are going to succeed. And I think eventually in few years we are going to find that the market is stratified into winners and losers. But let me bring Sarmista here. Sarmista, I know you work a lot with the providers and the tech firms. If you connect these dots, like one is, despite the fact I said we may or may not always talk about AI, but I think we have to, because it is sitting so much at the center of this new era. But I would want to ask you first, why? I mean, why has AI become so central, or is it one more of nice shiny tools that enterprises have access to?
Yeah, so sure, Yugal, for digital workplace, right? If 2025 was the year of experimentation, in line to what you said, 2026 is the year that enterprises are going to try to make all those experiments real, right? Try to get some real ROI on those investments. And when it comes to AI, they would actually like to have not just as pilot projects here and there across the organization, but integrated across the day-to-day workplace activities. And that's exactly what enterprises also want the answer for. Can we run the AI responsibly? Can we run this at scale? Will it break the experience, or will it lose the control? So for all this, what we see are a lot of shifts or changes that will take place in the near future. So few of those are highlighted in this slide, and the numbers are from a recent digital workplace survey which we did with around 300 plus enterprises. And first, the biggest change is not the tool, but the people around it. And when we ask enterprises what AI means for them, AI means for the workforce, around 80 to 85% people expect some real change. And what they are talking about is reskilling, and not just everyone learning how to prompt and how to just type few questions. It's reskilling around new workflows, it reskilling around how the issues get diagnosed and resolved. In fact, in one of our conversation with a workplace leader, she pointed out that adoption of their AI tool did not hit problems, or like did not stop, pause because of the people didn't like the AI tool as such. It was because the transition was not done smoothly from how they operated before, and it was also because of the upskilling was not done properly. The next shift that we see is how AI will operate in the future. So, a huge share, around 90% of people expect AI to run closer to the action at the edge. And I would like to point out that this is something the enterprises would like to have it in the future, not immediately. And a lot of this is also influenced when it comes from a sector where you are trying to support a lot of frontline workers or mobile workforce, right? And make real time decisions. Next is the part where the leaders are really serious about the risk and governance, because a lot of them do feel that AI will introduce new risks. So in 2026, the question will be that what are the guardrails, what are the some of the who will be accountable, what are some of the compliance compliance and regulations that you are taking care of. So this is going to be very critical in 2026. And lastly, the changes in the provider landscape. I think Prabhneet already spoke about it and how we see new competition. Since AI is helping leveling the field, more providers can compete, and the barrier to come up with something impressive and something innovative is lower than before. So here, what would matter is what are the outcomes that you have committed and how you will be able to, let's say, improve on it year on year or quarter by quarter. So these are the few significant changes that we are expecting in the future. And AI would not just be another layer, it would be changing how enterprises function. And this is why we say AI is sitting at the center of workplace.
And just if I
Very
can add
interesting.
one point,
Yeah,
you
go
will.
ahead.
So, Mr. talked about the frontline workers. In the same study, another very interesting statistic that came out was that enterprises, when they invest an X number of dollars in for frontline workers versus office workers, they're getting a lot more ROI, and that is again also because that portion of the workforce has been ignored for very long, and enterprises have now really matured on their ask, and they want that focus to again come back. They want frontline workers to be at the center, and they want solutions, use cases, and tech very contextualized to the needs. So just wanted to add that.
Very interesting. And let me pick a bone with Sarmishta on that what she said. So if we move to the next slide, you know, we of course talk about AI adoption and all, and as I said earlier, there are multiple studies which talk about how AI adoption is happening, but the results are not that even, or probably not that impactful. And some also compare with the example I gave around, when PC came, same thing happened, but then it tapered down. But we all know things are a bit different this time. Now, enterprises, of course, again from our same research, want lot of things from AI. They just want AI to do some kind of magic, and then everything within their environment. That's why I think everybody is running around everywhere. Then there are so many use cases that they pilot, and just the benefits are minimal, as you see on this slide as well, around 5% or so. But then the expectations are high. So we are seeing a significant delta between expectations and reality. But then it is not new for newer technologies. That has happened in the past, and we are talking about something which is still developing. We are talking about something which is almost unprecedented, because the type of solutions and systems that we are building now are very different. But I'll come to Prabneet, to you, because irrespective of all of those things that are happening in the industry, right? Somebody who is sitting with the hat of enterprise workplace leader, be it in a bank, be it in a CPG, healthcare, who we serve, what they should actually do. Thinking about reading these things is good, but then once they hear this session, what they can do as soon as they go back.
Yep. Very interesting question, Yuval. And I again want to point out one statistic that again came from another study was that 81% of enterprises they expect workplace network field support to be bundled together by 2030 in the form of one XLE based contract. But like you mentioned, there's a lot of difference between expectations and what is happening on ground. And again, talking back and tying it back to what you said, that they're not taking bold enough steps. That is what I also think. So I believe this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. We have talked with a lot of enterprise customers, and they don't have a broad and a bold long term vision of what they want to do till 2030. But digital workplace can hold a very central position across IT towers. And I'm not saying that just because we work very closely to the domain, but because it has been ahead in multiple themes by a lot of other IT tasks, such as product led IT operating model, AI ops. These are the themes which for for digital workplace have been sort of bread and butter, and they have been part of very core components for much longer. Another component, right? Observability, which is becoming a hot topic right now in other towers. But this has been again a very part of the core solutioning for digital workplace for many years now. And the solutions are already mature enough. You have the right talent as well. So this is an opportunity for enterprise leaders who are either leading the digital workplace services or building ancillary capabilities to elevate the position of digital workplace and take those observability, monitoring, and that overall position of digital workplace, because it sits right at the center between work, workplace, and employees. So you are anyways right at the powerhouse nucleus. You anyways have that position, so you can elevate your position, leverage that observability and orchestration layer to make sense of this entire chaos and the fear that you have, the risk that is, will I get the right amount of ROI from my investments? That can be solved by elevating this position of digital workplace domain. So this is, I think, one area where enterprises should really consider. But also, sadly, the second part is that service providers, on the other hand, they are also not being bold enough to push their client partners on this front as well, because they do need the right strategic partners, and that is not coming from the service providers. They are just being yes men or just doing what is in the scope instead of helping them understand the art of the possible with the new tech.
Hmm.
In fact, if I may add to one point there, so in our research, a recent voice of customers from digital workplace clients, strategic partnerships and innovation and from the service providers were two of the lowest satisfied dimensions. So when we asked where do you think service providers need to step up, where are you dissatisfied with them, those were the two dimensions that came up very often in our study.
So, Sarmista, now I have you here. Of course, the enterprise expect there has always been a divide between what enterprises want and what the providers can deliver. But from your vantage point, what Prabhneet just said, how does that impact the providers? What we hear from providers is, listen, we are ready with everything, just that the clients are not moving. What are you seeing?
So sure, Yoga, let me give a couple of pointers here. So if we look at the demand side, like Prabneet mentioned, enterprises are basically asking for outcomes. And where we believe providers need to step up are like in these two, three things. First is providers need to pick a small number of outcomes and commit to them. Enterprises are really tired of too many different projects, too many different SLAs, the business as usual matrix, the complex dashboards. So providers can walk in with the 3 to 5 things, outcomes that they are willing to commit, how they plan to show continuous improvement across those things, how they plan to show improvement across the years, and report it in plain language. So this is around how you commit to the outcome and how you communicate. Second, I think Pravneet also spoke about this, but what we believe is providers can have a unified observability and fabric layer. A lot of enterprises have data, telemetry, but it's scattered. Endpoint here, network here, collaboration there. So providers who will build like a single pane of orchestration and observability panes across towers so that the system resolves issues early, those providers will actually be winning more deals. In fact, some of the providers have already have like data fabrics, those observability layers. For example, Infosys coming up with Infosys Topaz Fabric, TCS with its AI-driven digital fabric. The for here for these providers, the workplace leaders across are not have not been able to take this to the enterprises, where again they can elevate the position of workplace and show that this is something the digital workplace team can do for the enterprise. So these are the two things I believe like service providers need to really step up and show the enterprises that they can help.
Okay, interesting. I think we spoke a lot of things. So just to summarize for our audience, and I really liked the points both of you made. If I take away, if I'm an enterprise leader, the one thing at least I'll take away from what Prabneet said is, how do the workplace leaders by themselves convince that they have a higher role to play? rather than doing what they've been doing till now. So we believe that this transformation gives them a very new and renewed opportunity to uplift their own stature within the enterprise. And Sarmista, to your point, providers claim a lot of things, and that's a problem. Clients are not looking for a lot of things, they are looking for something specific. As you said, let's commit specific outcomes. Let's commit specific and believable and the outcomes on which you can deliver rather than spreading yourself too thin. All right. Um,
Yugal, can
now,
I add
yeah,
one
yeah,
thing to
please go
that?
ahead.
In a recent conversation, we were talking about overcommitting, right? In a recent conversation with a platform vendor, they were taking, in fact, a very, I would say, a 180-degree stance. Instead of just talking about this is what we can achieve or this is what we commit to their enterprise customers or potential customers, what they were saying is that this is the mistakes we have done in our recent AI projects, and these are our learnings. And they said that this really hit with the customers a lot because no one is telling that what we have learned from our mistakes, and there that actually helped them convince that we have real on ground experience and we have the right talent and we are being honest with you. So if you can bring honesty to the conversation, that is, I think, something which enterprise leaders are also missing out right now. So they will really appreciate it. Actually, Yuval, we have a interesting question in the chat as well. So maybe
Mhm.
we can pick that up. So Kamal is asking how to bridge the digital literacy gap for the frontline ground staff. Again, I'll maybe pick this up and then you can add. So again, in another conversation recently, there was a very simple pain point of an enterprise customer that our frontline workers, similar to what Kamal is saying, they feel very left out because they are not even part of the usual communication of the enterprise, and communication that office workers get, they do not even get that. So I think you can start small. First, try to include them in every communication, make sure that they are really involved, their experience is monitored and measured, and then also ensure that they are trained through very small features, modular learning. That is the way to start including them further and ensure that gap slowly gets decreased and they can actually benefit from the new AI transformation instead of overwhelming them with a lot of stuff. You got anything you would want to add to this?
No, I think you made a very good point. I guess one of the reasons there's a digital divide is frontline technology sucks, and that's where the frontline workers don't use it. If the technology starts working the way it is promised, and that includes AI, I mean, we have been through the journey of AR, VR, helping for remote assistant and all. It it did go someplace, but then it stopped. So it is I think blaming the end user for not adopting technology has some merit, but at the same time the builders need to introspect whether the whatever they are building actually works and whether the enabling function also works. So for example, one of the biggest breakpoint is network. Where they work, you may not have network, so the sims do not work, the wi-fi they don't work. So there are a lot of things. And as we realize, all of these frontline workers are extremely stretched and busy, and they know they are a very high cost in their company's P&L. So they realize their jobs are on shaky ground. So they will be willing to do everything, not only to protect their jobs, but also to contribute back. But for that, the systems need to work. Uh, Now, let me, I think we spoke about that we are going to try and see what are our key predictions for 2030, realizing that in today's time saying anything beyond your length of your nose is a challenge, but I'll still try to do it. So Prabhneet, if I come to you and then Sarmishta, maybe you can start after her. What are your top predictions for digital workplace by 2030? And by the way, audiences, please feel free to put your predictions as well in the chat. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Prabhneet.
Yeah, thanks, Sibyl. And again, for the audience, we'll also just want to highlight that you have our complimentary abstract that you can download through the QR code, along with an option to schedule a meeting with our analyst. So yeah, my 2030 prediction for digital workplace will be around convergence. I think that is one thing that I'm really relating to, and I'm seeing that on ground started to happen also. So the boundaries between network, workplace, security, in a lot of scenarios, we are seeing workplace and HR, they're really getting blurred. And probably how we are talking about digital workplace, that will evolve into more around a unified employee experience or productivity layer, stitched together by a strong AI and data fabric behind the scenes. So, Mr. Would you want
Yeah.
to share your 2023?
Yeah, so for me, one prediction would be that by 2030, enterprises will move beyond FT based planning for their own and for contracting with the service providers. Uh, so basically, they will manage the workplace as a capacity portfolio wherein they have human FTs, but they also have the personified agents, or what we might call in the future digital workers, under the same team. So instead of counting the headcount and asking how many people they would need, they will plan for the right mix of FTs and the agent's capacity, mostly by work type, the risk involved, the exceptions, the expected outcomes. So this is one prediction: humans and agents working side by side and enterprises planning accordingly. So, Yugal, what about you? What is that one thing you see happening in 2030 workplace?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, and when we work with our clients, thinking that there is an agent running, and whenever we see agents off late, the humanoids are getting popped up in a lot of places, and they are scary. Software agents are one thing, but those physical agents, they, to me at least, they look very scary. Now, having said that, I guess, see, uh, there has been a lot of debate around AI adoption, how you need all the governance, how do you need all the guardrails, auditability, and so on and so forth, which I think are absolutely needed, which are very, very critical. But in my view, by 2030, one thing will happen is, as I said earlier, there will be a stratification between enterprises and providers both, who started their journey rather than overthought it. So then they need to, what is called, just take the bull by the horns, and then start doing their AI transformation, not only just from AI vantage point, but digital workplace. I mean, it's just not about employee experience. It's about, as more enterprises bring their people to offices, how do you make, let's say, meeting environments better, or completely transform them? And things have happened in that direction, but as I said, they are mostly broken. And that's why people get frustrated with digital workplace technology so much, because they do not work when you need it. In fact, today itself, I just realized my printing is not working for some reason, and then my IT was not able to remotely connect because that remote connection was not working. So, on one hand, we have such basic things not working, and on the other, we have all these predictions and the, a glamorized view of the future. But I definitely believe enterprises and providers both, who do not start their journey now, there will be a clear demarcation of winners as well as laggards, and that is going to happen. That has happened in all technologies. We have seen the S curve, and the same S curve is going to be built again. Secondly, I think, Sarmishta, you spoke at length about how do you govern AI at scale, and that is of course very, very critical. That is going to be extremely important. I hope the tools and technologies to do that will improve by then, and the way AI systems are built will improve by then. And somebody spoke about, I need put on observability layer. I think you also spoke about it, both of you, that how is that AI driven orchestration of entire digital workplace is going to be critical. Lastly, I don't think we talk about it enough. This ties to Prabhneet the point you made that digital workplace leaders by themselves need to step up. I think the boundaries of digital workplace, as we referred earlier, that a lot of convergence is happening, a lot of things are happening. So then, within internal structure, where does workplace leaders influence finishes, and where does it start? All enterprises till now have very defined and structured way in which they define their digital workplace. I think that is going to change, and all of these technology transformation, people transformation, newer people joining, lot of things happening, even geopolitical changes that are happening. Everything is going to influence the way enterprises design their internal structure. And lastly, if I may say, lot of the digital workplace continues to be centered around devices and tickets or service desk. I think devices will continue to be very critical. We saw in CES all the new things that many of the OEMs brought in. I think good devices will always be in demand. There will be innovative commercial structure around how do you deliver, let's say, device as a service for that matter. And every provider may have a different view of this. So, just to summarize, one is the boundary or the remit of digital workplace leader will definitely increase. There will be a stratification between enterprises and providers who have started now versus who are just waiting at the fences for this thing to stabilize. There won't be stabilization, and then there will be clear difference between winners and laggards. And lastly, the governance part of it, be it through industrializing trust, as we call it, auditability, guardrails, and variety of such things will come into picture to make workplace a very exciting segment to be in, both from provider as well as the enterprises side. Um, I think we have spoken enough, but just last to wrap this conversation. Any other points from you, Prabneet and Sarmishta?
Well, I think you very interestingly mentioned the CES event, and I also think that a lot of interesting devices are coming up into the picture, which I guess we didn't talk about a lot. But um, it is very interesting to see the kind of devices that are coming up. For example, the smart eyewear and the advancement there is in those smart eyewear glasses and the use cases that are coming up. For example, that real-time translation while you're talking to a person, or the smart rings and cool devices such as Lenovo's Rollable. So I think that will also probably change the workplace scope. For example, field support is one segment. I think a lot of interesting things are going to happen there through humanoids, through drones, but also through things such as smart eyewear, smart rings. So looking forward to seeing what new use cases and what new problems can be solved through these kind of devices in tech.
Sarmishta?
Yeah, I think we have covered from the demand and the provider side from different angles, and like we see, like we said, very exciting things coming up in the future. So yeah, I don't have anything to add as such here.
Okay. I hope all the audience who participated found this session useful. And as Prabni said, please feel free to download our research that we are sharing with you, and keep the dialogue open. The things are going to change a lot in this industry, and as I said, the paranoid survives. And wish you all the good luck. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you for
you,
joining.
everyone.